In my past life, I pulled my naked and unconscious cousin, Brittany, from a house fire. The moment she regained consciousness, her boyfriend dumped her. Everyone's seen you naked online. What guy would ever take you seriously now? I tried to console her. Look at it as a blessing in disguise. You got to see his true colors. I never imagined that one sentence would make Brittany hate me so deeply. Later, she deliberately live-streamed me while I was in the shower. Now it's your turn for a blessing in disguise, cousin. During the ensuing argument, she pushed me down a flight of stairs. I died. My body shattered beyond recognition. Meanwhile, Brittany used my inheritance to find a man who would move in with her. And they lived happily ever after. I opened my eyes again. Reborn on the day of the fire. This time, I shove a pile of cardboard boxes against her bedroom door. Make sure you're covered up tight, Brittany. Don't go getting exposed again. The searing heat on my arm jolted me awake. The moment I opened my eyes, thick, rolling smoke forced out 2 streams of tears. From outside the window, I could hear shouting. Fire! Someone call 911. Realizing I had been reborn, I first rushed into the bathroom, grabbed a wet towel, and pressed it over my nose and mouth. Running into the living room, I glanced at Brittany's bedroom door. Flames and dense smoke were seeping through the cracks, like the grasping claws of a demon. In my previous life, I had charged in without a thought for my own safety. I found Brittany unconscious and naked on her bed, with the fire raging. I had to act fast, soaking a blanket in water to cover her before carrying her out on my back. On the way downstairs, I was so focused on dodging the flames and falling debris that I didn't even notice the blanket slipping half off her body. I suffered multiple burns saving her. The palm of my hand seared nearly raw when I grabbed the hot doorknob. At the time, I thought it was worth it. We didn't always get along, but a life was on the line. I couldn't just stand by. But I quickly came to regret it. At the hospital, Brittany's injuries were minor, and she recovered quickly. I, on the other hand, developed a high fever from infected wounds. The pain was so deep it felt like it was in my marrow. While I was gritting my teeth through the agony of having my wounds cleaned, Brittany was on a sweet, loving phone call with her boyfriend. She had him on speaker, telling him how scared she was, begging him to come and keep her company. But as soon as her boyfriend learned she was a victim of the fire, he immediately broke up with her. Brittany, I was just saying that viral clip of the naked girl being rescued from the fire, the birthmark looked just like yours. So it really was you. You've been seen by everyone. Who would want you now? We're done. Watching the blissful smile vanish from Brittany's face, I weakly tried to comfort her from my bed. Brittany, don't be sad. A man who would break up with you over this isn't worth it. Just think of it as a blessing in disguise. A chance to see his true. Before I could finish, Brittany lunged at my bed and yanked what little hair I had left. You have the nerve to talk? This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, would I have been exposed? The fire wasn't even that big. It wouldn't have killed me. You did this on purpose to ruin me. Then you tried to drive a wedge between me and my boyfriend. What? You want to take my place? My body was weak from the fever, and my back was strained from carrying her. I didn't have the strength to fight back. Thankfully, we were in a hospital, and the doctors intervened. forcing Brittany to stop. Later, Brittany announced she was moving into my new apartment after being discharged. I firmly refused, thinking I was holding a grudge. She came over with a syrupy, backhanded apology. "I'm sorry, Ava. I was emotional and said some things I didn't mean. But let's be honest. Are you completely blameless? Aren't you going to apologize for letting me be exposed like that? How am I supposed to get married now if I can't find a husband? Are you going to take responsibility?" That day, I learned that a person really can spit up blood from sheer rage. I looked at the vibrant, aggressive Brittany, then down at my own body, covered in scars from saving her. I opened my mouth and coughed up a mouthful of blood before passing out. When I woke up, Brittany had somehow convinced my mother and had already moved into my apartment. As the fire story faded from the news, she even found a new boyfriend. I thought the whole nightmare was finally over. Until one day, while I was showering, Brittany burst into the bathroom with her phone, live streaming. "Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll leave right now," she shouted. Yet her body moved closer, the phone's camera aimed directly at me. I frantically tried to cover myself, yelling at her to get out. She just smiled faintly. "I'm so sorry, Ava. I had no idea you were showering. I thought you were still working late at Sterling Corp." Even though the platform's moderators quickly shut down the stream, Brittany had already shouted my full name and the name of my company. I was doxxed. My phone number, home address, and university records were all posted online by malicious strangers. In the days that followed, unfamiliar faces loitered near my apartment building. My packages were often opened. And the texts, they never stopped. "Hey beautiful. Nice body. Wanna meet up? Fair is fair. I'll show you mine." My workplace was inundated with calls from strangers asking for me, disrupting business. My boss had no choice but to fire me. I returned home, heartbroken and defeated, carrying a box of my personal belongings. Brittany watched me, a triumphant smirk on her face. "So? How does your blessing in disguise feel? I guess a company that would fire you over something like this wasn't such a great company after all. Huh?" It was then that I finally understood. She had live-streamed me on purpose. Furious, I flew at her. But my body still hadn't fully recovered. I was no match for her. She shoved me hard, and I fell from the balcony of my 20th floor apartment. I was shattered into pieces. My mother hired people to search for days, but they could never collect enough of me for a proper burial. After my death, Brittany claimed I had committed suicide after being fired. She harassed my former company for compensation. And to make the problem go away, they paid her $15,000. That money went straight into her pocket. She promised my mom she would take care of her in her old age, coaxing my grieving mother into signing over all my property and assets to her. With my money in hand, Brittany found a man to move in with her and immediately kicked my mother out onto the street. Seeing my mother collapse from the shock and grief, my spirit burned with a rage so intense it felt like my very soul was boiling. The next thing I knew, I was awake, back on the day of the fire. I scanned the living room, my eyes landing on the pile of boxes belonging to Brittany. She was currently unemployed and had a fleeting idea to become a streamer, buying tons of makeup, tripods, costumes, and props. But when the packages arrived, she couldn't even be bothered to open them, leaving them scattered in the living room. I'd told her countless times that cardboard boxes can carry germs, even roach eggs, and that she should unpack them and throw them out. She never listened. I was always the one who ended up cleaning up her mess. Not this time. With that thought, I kicked the boxes right up against her bedroom door. There. Brittany. I've made sure you're blocked and nice and tight this time. Don't you dare blame me if you get exposed again. I watched as a tongue of flame licked the corner of a cardboard box, the fire spreading rapidly. Then I turned and sprinted out the door. Without Brittany on my back this life. I flew down the stairs, making it to the second floor with ease. Just before the exit, with only a few singed strands of hair, I stopped. Steeling myself, I thrust my calf against a burning doorframe. The scorching pain was like 10,000 hornets stinging one spot. Soon, the flesh on my leg was raw and bloody. Satisfied with the effect, I dragged my injured leg and stumbled out of the building. The first person I saw was my uncle, craning his neck to look at the fire. Seeing me alone, he rushed over, his hands gripping my shoulders like vices. Brittany. Where's Brittany? Why didn't you get her out with you? Are you trying to kill her? The onlookers, smelling drama, all turned to stare. I asked with a bewildered look. Brittany? Was she home? She told me she was going out. I quickly pulled out my phone and showed him our chat history. Me, Brittany. Can you please clean up your stuff this afternoon? The apartment is a mess. Brittany, can't. I have to go out. I won't be home this afternoon. You can just clean it for me. This was her classic move. The second you asked her to do a chore, she'd invent a headache, a sudden appointment, anything. It was always me who caved and cleaned up. In my past life, it was my suspicion that she was lying again that made me go check her room before I escaped. My uncle stared at the chat log and practically jumped out of his skin. Are you that stupid? She was lying to you. She has to be in her room. My daughter. My poor daughter. I immediately acted more panicked than he was, giving him a push toward the building. Really? Then what are you waiting for? Uncle? Go save her. After shoving him, I pretended to lose my balance, staggering and collapsing to the ground in a cloud of dust. Using the tears the smoke had brought to my eyes, I slapped my injured leg and started wailing. I'm useless. My leg is burned. Brittany. I really wanted to save you. I even crawled a few feet toward the building entrance, my hand outstretched as if reaching for a final, desperate hope. The crowd watched, moved to tears. What a strong bond between those sisters. My uncle took 2 steps toward the building, but when he saw the flames roaring out of the blackened entrance, he stopped. He hesitated, looking off into the distance. The sound of sirens was getting closer, but they weren't here yet. He spun around and yelled furiously at the crowd. Are you all just going to stand there and watch? Help me go save her. Someone in the crowd shouted back. Stop with the guilt trip. Even you, her own father, are hesitating. You expect us to go in there? Our lives matter too. Who said that? Who said I'm hesitating? Show yourself. My uncle roared, his hand trembling as he pointed at the crowd, watching him intentionally stall for time. I felt a wave of bitter laughter rise in my chest. In my last life, he, just like Brittany, blamed me for not being careful enough in the fire, for letting her be exposed. Yet here he was, lacking the courage to even step into the flames. I remembered his words from my past life perfectly, Ava. If you ask me, you went through all that trouble for nothing. The firefighters had the fire out in 23 minutes. Your cousin didn't need you to save her. Brittany is a blessed person. The fire wouldn't have touched her. Look. She doesn't have a single scratch on her. That's all the proof you need. Thinking of this, my fists clenched. This time, let's see just how far Brittany's blessing will take her. The crowd wasn't putting up with my uncle's nonsense. You have time to argue? Isn't that your daughter in there? Two young men pushed through the crowd. They looked familiar. Stop arguing. Saving her is what's important. Seeing that someone had answered his call, my uncle finally started moving. He yelled at the two young men. You two go first. Go on. Rush in. The young men's eyebrows knitted together. We don't know which apartment is yours. How can we lead the way? My uncle had no choice but to grit his teeth and lead them into the building. Just as their figures vanished into the smoke-filled hallway, the fire department arrived. The firefighters set up a perimeter, and paramedics pulled me onto a stretcher to disinfect my wound. As the seconds and minutes ticked by, the smell of smoke filling the air, a knot of anxiety tightened in my stomach. In my last life, after I escaped with Brittany, there was no one else trapped inside. The firefighters were able to immediately set up their high-pressure hoses and attack the flames from the outside, preventing the fire from spreading further. This time, because people were trapped inside, they could only spray the exterior walls to cool them down. Watching the fire begin to spread, I felt a pang of guilt. If my personal vendetta caused more casualties, it would be a debt I could never repay. Suddenly, a roar went through the crowd. They're out. They're coming out. To my surprise, the firefighters carried out two people on stretchers. I pushed through the crowd, shouting, I'm family, and squeezed to the front. The first person brought out was one of the young men who had gone in with my uncle. He was lying on the stretcher, clutching his head and groaning in pain. Blood was seeping uncontrollably through his fingers. His wound didn't look like a burn at all. As I was trying to figure out what happened, my thoughts were shattered by a piercing shriek. I had imagined what the fire might do to Brittany, but what I saw before me proved I had underestimated the cruelty of the flames. The crowd fell silent. Her once delicate face was now a blackened mess, with huge, pulsing blisters. Her clothes were mostly gone, and the torn patches revealed vast areas of burned skin underneath. Her exposed arms looked carbonized, cracked like charred wood. There was no gushing blood, no severed limbs, but the sight was still utterly horrifying. A small child in the crowd started to cry. Brittany groaned, her body rigid, seemingly unable to move. I quickly realized why. Her burned skin was sticking to the stretcher. Any significant movement would tear sheets of skin and flesh away. The thought alone made my scalp crawl. In a flash, Brittany's eyes found me in the crowd. They went wide with fury, and the blisters on her face trembled with her rage. It was you. You blocked my door. You did this to me. She struggled to pull herself off the stretcher. Her blackened, blistered arm left dark red smears on the ground as she crawled. The exertion seemed to fuel her rage. And she moved with a terrifying speed. Like a demon from a horror movie. "Why did you do this to me? Why?" she shrieked. As she got closer, the air filled with the nauseating, greasy smell of burnt flesh. I had to fight every instinct to keep from clamping a hand over my nose. A paramedic, driven by professional duty, rushed to restrain her. "Ma'am, please don't move. You'll make your injuries worse." A firefighter also helped lift her. "We need to get her clothes off and treat her." The civilians who rescued her didn't know that dry chemical extinguishers are corrosive to the skin. They used one to put out the fire on her. "If we don't clean it off now, it'll eat right through her skin." Hearing this, Brittany's expression turned to one of panic. She wrapped her arms around herself. "No. I won't take them off. I'd rather die. If I lose my honor, who will answer for it?" Her words made every single person in the vicinity frown. The other young man who had gone in to save her stepped forward. "We shouldn't have saved you. It would have been better if you'd burned." "Firefighters. I'm telling you. Don't even bother with her. This woman is sick in the head." Listening to the young man's rant, I pieced together what had happened. When they reached her apartment, Brittany was trying to get through the wall of fire created by the burning delivery boxes at her door. After hesitating several times, the flames caught her clothes. The young man and my uncle, seeing this, were trying to extinguish the fire at the door while yelling at Brittany. "Take your clothes off. Get them off. Anyone with common sense knows that if your clothes are on fire, the most effective thing to do is to remove them as quickly as possible." But Brittany acted as if she hadn't heard them, just screaming and running around her bedroom. This made everyone more frantic. Brittany had committed another cardinal sin: running when on fire creates airflow, which only makes the flames burn hotter. In a moment of desperation, one of the young men braved the flames, rushed into the bedroom, and tackled Brittany, intending to rip her burning jacket off her. But as soon as he pinned her down, she started screaming. Assault. Rape. Then she grabbed the nearest object and smashed it over his head. After that, no one dared to touch her again. But they couldn't just watch her burn to death. At my uncle's insistence, the two young men finally resorted to using a dry chemical fire extinguisher to put out the flames on her body. The young man recounted the story in a rush, his eyes red with indignation. "Officer, my friend and I both have firefighter certifications. We know you're not supposed to use a dry chemical extinguisher on a person. But we had no other choice. She wouldn't cooperate at all." Hearing this, my brain felt like it had short-circuited. I had considered many possibilities in this new life, but I never imagined that her purity was so important to Brittany that she would risk her life to protect it. It was a level of reasoning that was simply impossible to comprehend. What could possibly make her think her modesty was more important than her life? Seeing Brittany's agitated state, the paramedics loaded her into the ambulance. "It's all right in here, ma'am. If we don't treat this now, your skin will be completely destroyed," Brittany just wailed, forcing out the words. "No. The back of this ambulance has windows. It's not private enough." The paramedics just shook their heads and said to the driver, "Let's go. Get to the hospital. If we wait any longer, she's not going to make it." People in the crowd murmured among themselves, "This is a new one. She'd rather die than be seen." As the ambulance was about to leave, I quickly ran up to it. Doctor. I'm family. I'll go with my cousin to the hospital. Brittany had caused my gruesome death. As long as she had a breath left in her body, my revenge was not over. At that moment, a paramedic gave Brittany a shot of a sedative, and she seemed to quiet down, though she could still talk. Why are you coming? You're the one who did this to me. Go to hell. Given her earlier tantrum, everyone in the ambulance now had a very low opinion of her. Seeing me so considerately get on board only to be spoken to like that. A nurse shot me a sympathetic look. I covered my face and started to cry helplessly. I didn't do it. Brittany, sob. I just didn't clean up your boxes for you. I didn't know there was going to be a fire. You're lying. You were never that nice. When the police investigate what you did, they'll lock you up for what you did to me. Your life is over. I had already considered the possibility of an investigation when I blocked her door. But having been given a second chance at life, I simply couldn't allow myself to be the kind of good person who respects fate. I was going to be the person who messes with other people's fates. Whoever hurt me, I would pay them back in full. I blocked her door to ensure that even if she woke up, she wouldn't be able to escape easily. And as it turned out, my gamble paid off. It wasn't an unnecessary move. After hearing Brittany's aggressive threats, I sniffled, raised my hand, and pretended to dial 911. Hello? Police? I want to turn myself in. Before the fire at the apartment complex today. Before I could finish, Brittany slapped the phone out of my hand. I looked at her, stunned. I'm not so heartless as to let you get a criminal record, she said. If you know what's good for you, I'll consider letting you off the hook. I feigned confusion. What do you mean? Know what's good for me? Brittany's eyes locked onto my phone. In a commanding tone, she said, pick it up. First, call my boyfriend for me. I asked cautiously. What's his number? Brittany hesitated. A classic symptom of the delusion that every other woman is after her mediocre boyfriend. After dialing, I dutifully held the phone to Brittany's ear. I was so eager because I was dying to know how her trash boyfriend would react this time. The ensuing conversation, however, made my brain want to shrivel up. Just like in my last life, Brittany recounted her terrifying ordeal. Babe, I remembered what you always say. I was about to be burned alive. But I didn't let any other man touch me to save my body for you. The man's voice on the other end was ecstatic. Like he'd just discovered a priceless treasure. Really? Babe? That's my girl. A good woman keeps herself pure for her man. You did the right thing. Your husband is coming to the hospital to be with you right now. Thankfully, Brittany was in too much pain to talk for long. Otherwise, the paramedics and I would have rolled our eyes so hard they'd have gotten stuck in the back of our heads. A nurse muttered. They're both insane. Who hears their girlfriend has been burned and gets happy about it? I nodded furiously in agreement. After the call, Brittany said to me, when we get to the hospital, you're paying for all the medical bills. And if you behave yourself after that, I'll consider forgiving you. I nodded eagerly. Seeing me so thoroughly under her thumb, Brittany closed her eyes, satisfied. By the time we reached the hospital, Brittany had started to run a fever. Watching her dig her nails into her own flesh so hard that they broke off, I felt a sliver of satisfaction. The only reason Brittany had been able to put on that show earlier was because the sudden trauma had flooded her body with adrenaline, temporarily raising her pain threshold. Now, the real agony was just beginning. The doctors quickly wheeled Brittany towards the operating room. But suddenly a short, middle-aged man rushed forward and blocked the gurney. "No men. No men can be in there. A man can't see my wife's body." The familiar, grating voice told us it was Brittany's boyfriend. Brittany, who a second ago was on the verge of passing out from the pain, shot up as if she'd been given a shot of adrenaline. "Do what my husband says. Get me a female doctor. Or I'm not having the surgery." Was this the legendary power of love to stop pain? The man wrapped his arms around Brittany, protecting her like a rare jewel, and glared at the two male doctors. "Don't think I don't know what you're up to. You just think my wife is pretty and want to take advantage of her. Don't you?" With that, he planted a kiss on Brittany's blistered face. The scene was like a lightning bolt that struck everyone present, leaving them charred and speechless. Could this be true love? The medical staff, seeing they couldn't get through, had no choice but to page a female doctor. While they waited, the middle-aged man continued to coo at Brittany. "Babe, after your surgery, let's get you out of here as soon as we can. Okay? It's not good for a woman to be out in public like this. You're all mine. I'm going to take you home and lock you up." Brittany was in too much pain to speak but managed to force a sweet smile. I, on the other hand, felt like I was sitting on pins and needles. I didn't understand it, but I had to respect it. In fact, I wished them the best. "Please, lock each other up and throw away the key." To avoid being further traumatized by their sudden displays of affection, I retreated to a safe distance. The doctors worked quickly, giving the couple no more time for their sickeningly sweet display. Brittany was wheeled into surgery. The moment the operating room doors closed, the man's entire demeanor changed. The look of devotion vanished, replaced by one of disgust. He walked over to a corner and started spitting on the floor. Tooey. Tooey. Fucking disgusting. Burned to a goddamn crisp, and she has the nerve to call me. Am I going to have nightmares tonight from just looking at her? He spat a few more times, but it still wasn't enough. He went to a vending machine, bought a bottle of water, and rinsed his mouth out several times. Then, he straightened his clothes, took out his phone, and started talking to the camera. "All right. Family. You all heard it. Right? That woman is burned from head to toe. Scary as hell. And she still held out for me. Wouldn't let another man touch her. You can all see how much she loves me. Right? That's gotta be fake. I don't believe it. Who says it's fake? I'm right here in the hospital. Aren't I?" The man panned his phone around the hallway. "You all heard the doctors. Right? Severe burns. Family. This woman might not even make it. And she's still this devoted. My charisma is just that powerful. Huh? You're my hero. Ace. How do I get a woman to be that crazy about me?" The man, Ace, flashed a smug grin. "I can tell from that question you're new here. First time in my stream. Right? Click the blue link in the corner. That's the link for our emotional coaching sessions. I'm Ace. As long as you purchase a consultation, you can get my personalized guidance." What does she look like burned? Show us. Can't show you that. It's not allowed on the platform. Too graphic. It would get my stream banned. But I can show you what she looked like before the fire. Yo. She's hot. What a shame. Ace. She's like that now. Time to dump her. Right? We want to see the next one. You know what I mean. Ace thought for a moment. This one is too classic of a case to just drop. She'd literally die for me. I'll stick around for a few more days. Don't you all worry. Tonight I'll take you out to meet some even bigger. He was getting more and more worked up. But you're not allowed to be loud in a hospital. And live streaming is definitely forbidden. He was quickly asked to leave. Using the name he called himself, I started searching online platforms. After checking several video apps, I finally found his livestream on some obscure platform. His profile was filled with videos teaching men how to date. A quick scroll revealed a litany of toxic advice: how to make a woman completely devoted to you. Swipe. A woman's virginity is her best dowry. Swipe. You can't be with a woman who does any of the following: loves lattes. Orders an Angus thickburger at McDonald's. My fists clenched. I added this ace to my revenge list. If it wasn't for him brainwashing Brittany, I wouldn't have died so tragically in my past life. Besides, from the looks of it, he deserved a miserable fate of his own. This ace character used filters and special effects in all his videos and streams, never showing his real face. Yet he casually exposed women's appearances and private information. His live streams were even more explicit than his videos, showing his daily interactions with different women. To cater to the bizarre fetishes of some of his male followers, he would categorize and brainwash women. Some he would coach to wear revealing clothing and be forward with men, while simultaneously demanding they remain virginal and have no premarital sex. I watched a few of his stream replays and felt sick to my stomach. I even saw comments in the chat asking for videos. And it wasn't hard to guess what kind of videos they were asking for. I suddenly realized how foolish I'd been. I had been targeting the wrong person. The real culprit behind my death was him. Or rather, them. They used the concept of purity to bind women, making them value their honor more than their own lives. As hateful as Brittany was, the people who invented these concepts to restrain women were even more detestable. There was only so much I could do. But since fate had led me to this ace, I couldn't just let him get away with it. Heaven had given me a second chance, and it was my duty to rid the world of this pest. Remembering he said he was going to dump Brittany in a few days, a warning bell went off in my head. I couldn't let him, like in my past life, stir up trouble with a few words, turn Brittany's hatred towards me, and then vanish without a trace. At that moment, I made a decision. I would help Brittany protect her love. I would make sure she successfully married the man she was literally willing to die for. I registered a new account, chose a picture of a man's back as my profile picture, named myself Lone Wolf Lover, set my gender to male, and my age to 35. After entering his livestream, I commented, "Is your coaching really that good? I'm not so sure." While my words expressed doubt, I sent him 2 sports car gifts. The man, seeing the gifts, got excited and immediately made a call on another phone. "Hey, why haven't you called me lately? Honey, you said I would be bothering you if I called." Uh-huh. And so? You just don't call me? You don't have me in your heart, do you? I do. I do. I'm sorry. Honey. The man hung up and then smugly showed his livestream the chat window, where the girl was frantically apologizing and even sending him large money transfers. I felt a lump in my throat. I bought an hour of his consultation time and then sent him a message. Let's talk in a private chat. Ace, what's your target situation? Me, I want the contact information for that burned girl from your stream today. Ace, what do you want that for? She's a mess. Can't you find someone new? Or do you have some kind of fetish? Bro? Me, you seem like a straight shooter. So I'll be honest with you. Bro. I want to marry that girl. Ace, dude. Are you crazy? Haven't you seen the videos? That girl is trending. They're calling her Purity Page. The story of her being willing to burn for her purity is insane. It's all over the internet. This is a viral goldmine. Me, well. You're not planning on keeping her. Right? Give her to me. In her current state. She'd be lucky to have anyone. I'll package the story. Say she was saving herself for me. Create some tragic love story. Then I'll livestream myself taking care of her. Bro. You can just imagine the kind of money that'll bring in. People love a good freak show. Marrying her is like marrying a money tree. The chat window went dead silent. From my spot by the window, I watched the man stand up. He pulled out another phone and started furiously scrolling through social media. Brittany's luck was truly unbelievable. The young man she had assaulted turned out to be a local influencer with 3 million followers. He and his friend were known for their random acts of kindness. Helping the elderly. Saving drowning kids. Participating in flood relief. Basically, if it was a good deed, they were there. Putting their all into it. They had been to many dangerous places and, by some miracle, had never gotten seriously hurt. But today, trying to save Brittany, one of them got his head bashed in. They always wore body cameras when they were filming, which had perfectly captured everything that happened inside the fire and during the rescue outside. The influencer who had yelled at Brittany afterward quickly edited and uploaded the raw footage to his platform. It already had over 2 million likes and was rocketing to the top of the trending charts. Seeing that the man wasn't responding, I sent another message. Bro. Which hospital are you at? I'll come find you. Introduce me. I'll make it worth your while. Don't ignore me. How about a 30% cut of the profits? 50%? 50% is fine. 2. Just don't ghost me. What's the girl's name? This is a paid consultation. You know. If you don't respond, I can report you. 3 minutes later, a notification popped up. Your order has been refunded. The fish had taken the bait.